Hello everybody, it is I, You2Cool, back again, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 2026 re-release of Speedy Comet. Speedy Comet is, without a doubt, the single most anticipated re-release of this year, it seems, which is saying a lot, because rumor has it we're getting some pretty crazy re-releases, super chases. Cars Tunes lineup is not vast, but we're getting a really obscure pick for it. And I think Cars 3 in general has some really just great re-releases overall. But Speedy Comet is significant for one reason. The Cars 3 veterans have not been seen in the main line since 2021. Like, that doesn't sound like a long time, right? Because it's only been like 4 years. But in the diecast line, that's a pretty long time. In general, the 155 scale diecasts of the veterans haven't been out since 2022, like early 2022. Rather infamously, the veterans are some of the most expensive Cars diecasts out there just because they aren't released as frequently anymore, and a lot of people really want to get their hands on them, but they just aren't released very frequently in the diecast line. And so a lot of people kind of just gave up hope. We thought we would never see the Cars 3 veterans again, especially ever since 2024. Yeah, it was 2024 where they started really pushing the Cars 1 racers. People just assumed, oh, they're not going to do the Cars 3 stock cars because, well, they don't really need to. They have the Cars 1 racers. Why would you ever need, cars like Phil Tanks in here, who's just so similar to Aiken Axler? Why bother? And then the day came when Case A was revealed, and almost in full, and we saw 2 Speedy Comets. Not just 1 Speedy Comet in the case, 2. And I've heard that we're going to be getting some more Speedy Comets. At least that's like what rumor has it, So hopefully, if Speedy Comet does well enough in the sales department, Mattel might consider bringing back the Cars 3 stock cars some more. I'll be fine if it's just like the more generic ones, like Chip Gearings or, say, Dud Throttleman. But, just anything is better than nothing. So yeah, your Speedy Comet. That's not the only exciting thing about this item, though. You see, 2026 brings a very interesting change. Now, this card back looks pretty similar to what we're used to with the red card back, the Cars logo over there, the card art here. This is a really nice render of Speedy Comet. There's the car itself, Mattel logo, same as always. Look at the back. You see Speedy. This is the stock photo from the launcher. Fun fact, Speedy originally had brown eyes in concept art, but blue in the final movie, as you can see here. So this diecast is accurate. Chris Roman, I did see. I believe I also saw Marilyn. I saw quite a few cars. Basically, like half of the notable ones. I also saw Jackson there. But I decided to just get this and one other item. So yeah, we look at all this and what is this? Made in China. Okay. That's pretty interesting. So these diecasts are being made in China again. Of course, that means it's going to be a little difficult to get these guys compared to your Thailand cars, but you know what? It's cool seeing the cars be made from China again. Now, they look pretty much identical to Thailand cars. If you have a Thailand Speedy Comet, it's going to look identical to that. What was that? But for the most part, China is still making cars diecast, so that's cool. So, enough of that prelude. Let's get this bad boy out of the box. I am so excited for Speedy Comet, one of my personal favorite stock cars. Actually, just before I open it, I want to compare the card back to a 2025 card back, because I've heard the China card backs are actually a bit cheaper quality. So on the surface, they look pretty similar, but it does seem to be a bit brighter. Seems to also be a bit like more matte finish compared to the gloss that this one has. Also, the plastic is a bit like weaker compared to. Oh, yikes! That was a pop. So yeah, Very interesting stuff. Just keep that in mind. If in case you find a car like say Cryptid Buster McQueen or Rally Race Jackson Storm and you don't know if it's the Thailand variant or the China variant, check the card back. All right, enough that said. Let's get this guy out of the box. Okay, sadly the card back is a little destroyed. I was hoping my first China one would be nice and clean, but whatever. One last thing I want to point out is that Speedy does have a unique blister, even though I actually put Phil Tankson in a Jackson Storm blister once and he fit just perfectly, so yeah, keep that in mind. Maybe we'll see more of these guys. Hopefully. Alright. Here's Speedy. I don't have the Thailand one. I was very close to getting the Thailand one. I believe it was the 2020 single I was really close to getting. But, here he is. Alright, first things first, the eyeliner is kind of thick. It's honestly reminding me a lot of how Vietnam does their cars. Here's, Rick Yardley. Yeah, very, very similar. That's what the new China variants remind me of the most, is Vietnam. Very similar, like, decal quality compared to that. It's not as, like, pixely as Thailand, but it's not as smooth as a Chinese decal, like, say, Phil here. So, Speedy appears in Cars 3, of course, as one of the racers. Speedy is very interesting since Speedy Comet actually races for one of the new sponsors, Blinker, which, of course, is later replaced, and Ryan Inside Laney takes over, who I've had since 2023. So now I finally did it. I finally have a next gen and a stock car for the new sponsor. That's going to be pretty difficult to do since a lot of the stock cars for the new sponsors are some of the rarest ones. At least I know like Lane Locke and Bobby Rotesta are like so hard to find, it's like basically impossible. So anyways, Speedy here has an open mouth, similar to Phil Tankson. I believe not the exact same mouth, though, but pretty similar. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Speedy's a lot lighter of an orange than the card art would let you suggest, but I don't mind it. Over here on the side, we got the secondary sponsors, the 21. There were 2 copies of the Speedy. I believe this one was slightly less like quality because there was some dirt speckles on it, but I don't mind. It was the first one I grabbed, so I kind of attached to it already. Got blinker there. Got the gas cap here. Ryan and Silani is pretty infamous for being not infamous. I'm using that word incorrectly. Famous for being asymmetrical, although I believe Speedy is not. The layer text on the side there. I really like Speedy connecting engine to engine. Blinker, of course, is a social media app similar to, I would say it's a parody of Tumblr personally. Yeah, all these speckled dots really looks like something you'd see on the internet. I always liked Speedy just for the color scheme. Orange and blue is just so cool, especially how the orange is like the front half and then the blue is like the back. It just looks so sick. Reminds me kind of Revengo, but like in reverse, like an inverted Revengo. Really glad Ryan kept that orange. The logo itself didn't really change all that much between stock car and next gen, honestly. Like, they look pretty similar. 21 is probably the most major decal change between the two. Here's a look at the base. The China base coats are the exact same as how they've always been. So, if I recall correctly, 5 means this was the last digit is the year, and the first 3 digits are the dates, or the day of the year. So, these guys were produced pretty early on, made in China. I know a lot of purists out there aren't going to consider these China cars to be the exact same as, say, the launcher that Speedy used to come with back in the day, but overall, I'd say this Speedy Comet is a pretty good addition to anyone's collection, including mine. I want to tell this funny story. So, I went years without buying Cars 3 stock cars. I didn't buy any online. They just never crossed my mind personally. I was just not collecting cars for a while. And so when I went back, it was kind of hard to pick ones. And so the funny thing is, the Cars 3 stock cars I got recently in my collection were Cars 3 stock cars that were of the Brickyardly model. Speedy here is one of the only ones to not be that. As you guys know, I got Dino Draftski, but that was for a friend, so yeah. Speedy is my only, new stock car that isn't a Brickyardly model. Hopefully I'll get a Cal Weathers model. Really want to get Cars 3 Todd Marcus at some point. Alright, just a few other things I want to do before I end the video. Firstly, show this next to the other most recent Cars 3 veteran, that being Race and Rescue Cal Weathers. Speedy doesn't use an eye plate. That's why the printing on the eyes just looks so much, thicker, I'd say. Also want to show, of course, Parker Breakston due to a 2-pack. Alright, here's Speedy and Parker Breakston. Wait a minute. Hold on. Grabbed the wrong car. Speedy Comet and Parker Breakston, the iconic duo, reunited at last. I have a couple other Cars 3 stock cars that are of this model, so I guess we just show them all off together. This is beautiful. It's like a big family reunion. Anyways, that's all I had for today. I hope you all enjoyed the review, and I shall see you all around. Bye-bye!